Well, hey, we are Mastermind Media. We're kind of a different kind of podcast. We do an interactive stream on our Discord server, so we're streaming live to our viewers, and they can interact and put some questions in there if they feel the need to. We got some preset ones here for you, but everybody, we're here with the monster, Chad Anheliger. Um, we're gonna be asking him some questions today. If you guys want to ask him anything, feel free to put it in the chat. But yeah, Chad, how you doing today, man? You doing all right?
Yeah, I'm good, man. Life's good. Can't complain.
Awesome, love to hear it. Just to get right into it, what age did you get into martial arts, man? And like, what kind of style?
I was a little bit later, I suppose, than some. I came from a really small town and we didn't really have martial arts training. So it wasn't until I graduated high school and moved away, I started training. So I was about 18, 19, something like that. That's when I first walked into an MMA gym. And yeah, I've been in there ever since.
Awesome.
Who is your greatest inspiration of all time?
I don't really have like very individual motivators like that. Like I take lots of motivation from lots of different people and different parts about them. But when I was growing up, it would definitely have to be, my dad. He was an athlete, and back in the day, it looked a lot different than what it does for athletes now. He was a real hard worker and played really high level football and hockey, and that kind of gave me my first, look into what that athletic kind of pursuit could be.
Awesome.
So hockey was kind of like your introduction into athleticism, or
Yeah, it was the only sport we had in my town, so I played it, as long as I could, like anybody did. I wasn't really built for it, but I liked it and I played competitively. But yeah, that was for me. That was really all we had in that area. We didn't. I mean, we didn't even have a gym in town. Like it was
Wow.
just small town, and you played sports, and that was it.
did you ever throw the gloves with anybody in hockey before you were training?
Oh yeah, I'm undefeated on the ice, buddy.
That's awesome. Another one I had for you. What are some of your hobbies, man? I know that you've said in a few interviews that you like to go out and hunt.
Yeah, I'm an outdoorsman for sure. Like we got pretty limited hot days where I live here in Calgary, but I'm always out on the lake in the summer, fishing and just taking it easy. The lakes where I like to be. The mountains are nearby too. I really like getting out there and do a lot of camping, hiking stuff with my girlfriend, dog, regular outdoor stuff. I like to get out hunting when I can, not as much as I like to, but yeah, I just like to be outdoors. Spend a lot of my life indoors. So yeah, that's kind of where you'll find me.
What do you like to hunt? Just kind of anything, or do you have a special animal that you like?
Yeah, I mean we're all really deer hunters out here. I mean, luckily we get a couple moose, maybe some elk, things like that. But I'm not as into hunting as I used to be back home. It's a lot more challenging since I moved away from the small town. But yeah, when I get the opportunity, I still like to seize it.
That's cool. It's great to go out there and hunt.
Definitely eat your own food, right? Eat what you
Yeah,
kill.
I actually got some deer jerky in my fridge and a whole set of back strips in my freezer
There you
from
go.
something I
Smart
just
man.
did a couple months ago.
Who are your top five fighters of all time?
It kind of changes, I guess. Like I like certain guys at certain times, and I might watch an old fight and really kind of be reminded of how much I like somebody. So I always do bad on these questions. I answer them and I think back like, oh man, I should have said this guy or this guy. But I had some like guys that are pretty much staples, like Jeremy Stevens. I've always been a big fan of him and his style. He deserves a lot more credit. He's been around for a long time. There was a time, man, where BJ Penn I thought was just, unstoppable. I was a big fan of him. Um, I actually like guys like Michael Bisping. I always thought he fought really exciting, really tough fights. Um, Uriah Faber, I really looked up to him when I was younger, and he was kind of trailblazing for the smaller guys for sure. And then, on the bigger stage, there's a lot of great guys out there right now, but I've been watching John Jones for years, and he's a real artist in there. So I always appreciated John Jones' fight too.
We all love Johnny
Awesome.
Bones. That's that guy. uh, what was it like fighting on the Contender Series, man? Was it different? Like, was there a lot more nerves? Was there a lot more pressure on you, or was it just same old fight?
No, man, it's not even close to the same fight. It's way, way different, way more challenging. I've never in my life had a fight where winning was potentially not enough. So it really changes how you think about fighting. It changes how your coach will corner you. Like we are there with the purpose of getting a contract, not winning a fight. Typically they come hand in hand, but it really just changes the pressures you put on yourself to perform well, not just win. So that was a little bit challenging. And then obviously it's a lot of pressure. You go from a small show locally to the Contender Series, and it's different than the UFC, but it's not different than the UFC. It's all the same. All the same faces are there. You still have your media week when you're there. It's in the same, Apex Center. Like not much is different. So it was a significant jump up to what I was doing, but it also prepped me for the UFC. So then when I did get my contract and get in there, it wasn't brand new, you know.
That's
What
awesome.
was the feeling like whenever Dana actually awarded you with that contract?
Yeah, and I don't know. It feels like it was a long time ago now that I'm kind of thinking back, but yeah, I mean that was a wild night, man. That was a really cool thing. Like I fought a really tough fight, really tough guy, and I pulled off a win. And it just feels like almost like this second win you get in the same night where for me, I'm already a bit older. I was a bit older when I was on the show even, so I've been around a long time and I fought for a long time. But when you're in front of Dana and Sean Shelby and the matchmakers and you're fighting in front of them and they're choosing to give you a contract, there's nothing more raw than that. There's no like other manipulation, right? Like yeah, and Dana says this that your record before he's not really thinking about that. He's just watching you in the moment, and it's like, is this guy what I want my product to be, the UFC? And when they say it is, it's a pretty big pat on the back for the guys that get in. They're looking at you and they either see you and say, "Yes, that's what I want the UFC to be more about," or they say it's not. And nobody knows better than them. So, yeah, I took a lot of confidence from it, really. So winning my fight was confidence, but getting that thumbs up from Dana and the crew was another big thumbs up. Same thing when I renewed my contract. It's like they saw me, they knew everything about me. They know what fights I said yes to, fights I said no to, how I performed, and they still saying, yeah, we want more of that. So yeah, I get a lot of confidence from that.
It's got to be surreal.
Another one in the Gregorio fight, you hurt your hand and calf. You've mentioned previously. What happened that with that, and then also how was the recovery on that?
Yeah, it's actually still bothering me quite a bit. I think I did it when I was throwing some body shots on him. My thumb caught his elbow. And yeah, I'm actually getting some like injections in the thumb trying to settle it down, but that it's been like we're gonna be close to a year now and it's still causing me problems. So like it's nothing I can't get around. Like I prepared for my last fight with it. But it's one of those injuries as I get older and keep fighting, some of these injuries are, they're a little bit forever. They're never fully gonna be away. That's one of them.
Yeah, hey, I totally get that.
Who was your toughest opponent so far, and what did you learn from them?
Yeah, I mean, toughest is kind of a weird one because I've had tough fights in different ways. But when I fought Alatang Haley, that really kind of was an insight into some of the athleticism differences there can be in fighters. He was so strong and fast. I'd never fought somebody like that. I'd never felt somebody like that before that was that much of an athlete on top of having, the striking and grappling and fighting skills we already have. So for me, when I got in there, I actually think I'm better than him. I still think I am. But that was kind of like a shock to the system of how explosive and powerful and athletic these guys can be. So it was a good reminder for me to make sure I'm staying on top of my game in that area as well.
What can we expect from you as fans in the year 2025?
Yeah, man, I'm excited to put on great fights for the fans. That's what I'm always here to do. For sure, I need to get back in the win column. I'm motivated as ever after my last fight. So I'm training hard. I'm working on some of my deficiencies, and like I'm always been good at this in my career, but I can kind of reinvent myself, no matter what age, and it keeps me motivated in the gym to get better and yeah, so I'm just looking forward to getting back in there, getting back on the winning track, and reminding people who I am and why they tune in to watch me. I get a lot of motivation from that.
Love to hear it.
Is there anybody in particular that you'd like to maybe get a matchup against this year?
Nothing really that is like a front runner that jumps off the page, but there's just a ton of guys that I think would be exciting fights for me. So whenever I'm calling out names or looking at people in my division, I don't look at, how tough they are or what their ranking is. Like it's just like, oh, this would be a great matchup, like an exciting fight. So there's a ton of guys out there. Like there's so many. Like some of the guys that have some hype would be like Rojas Jr. I'd love to get that fight. I was really hoping to win my last fight because I think I would have been, potentially in the running with that, but I got to work my way back. Yeah, he's one guy. I don't know. There's a whole bunch of guys. Like, if I could really be picky, start looking at some of the big names and some of the legends, like Cruz and Aldo and even Cheeto. There's a lot of great names in there, but I got to work my way up to them. So we'll see. I'm taking just kind of taking it fight by fight. But for me, what gets me excited is when I see a name and I know, yeah, this guy's gonna bring it and it's gonna be an exciting fight. That's what I look for.
Sweet.
Awesome. Yeah, bantamweight, it's overly stacked right now. So you'll get somebody big there.
What are some names that we can see coming out of Champions Creed in the near future?
Yeah, man, lots. We got lots of guys that are knocking on the door. Ramil Kamilov, he's 8-0. Has such a hard time even getting fights. He's ready right now. But we'll see what comes next for him. Hopefully he gets his opportunity soon. I know he's still trying to fight locally in the meantime, like he's just doing whatever he can. Mac Larson, he just lost a big fight. Out in Quebec. But I mean, before that, he'd won 8 in a row, I think, with like 7 finishes. He's a beast. His skill level is at that level as well right now. And then some of our younger guys, Nick LeBlanc, I think he's 4-1 now. Had a loss in his last fight, but his skill level, the ceiling is extremely high. So we have a lot of high hopes for him. We still have Chris Bryant. I think he's 3-1 now. Like so, some of these guys are still earlier in their careers, but the skill level is already very high. They just need to put it all together with the experience and the rest of it. And I mean, that's a short list of our pros, which we have others. We have tons of tough guys, and we also, I'm probably forgetting some guys. So if I am, sorry, but we also have a bunch of amateurs that our amateur team right now is like so much better than it was when I was amateur, when I was fighting. Like the level is just not even comparable. Guys like Ethan, Yan, yeah. I mean, I'm not even going to be able to name everybody. There's so many good guys coming out of the gym right now that are just training like pros, and they're my training partners for my fight. So I mean, that says a lot about them right there. So tons of guys on the come up.
I'll be on the lookout for them.
What are your predictions on the main and co-main fights for 311?
Who are they?
We got Islam versus Armin,
Oh, right,
and
right.
we got Marab versus um, Umar.
Yeah, I think Marab will be able to get it done. I just think stylistically that matchup favors Marab because I think he's just going to have the movement and the wrestling to set a good pace and stay on top of it. Not get too far behind or get stuck on the bottom or anything like that. So I think the matchup just suits his style. I actually think that's why he said yes to such a quick turnaround, just because matchup wise, I think it's good for him. And I mean Islam, that's a really tough fight, but Makhachev is just he's really in his groove right now. So it would just take such a crazy different look or style or contender that he hasn't seen before to kind of catch him off guard. But when it comes to somebody with a strong grappling, like Armin has, I mean, Islam has dealt with it. So, I think he'll be able to get it done for sure.
Awesome. Well, hey man, that's really all we have for you today. I appreciate you so much for coming on and giving us your time. And God bless you in 2025.
Great. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you.
man.